Zuckerberg's Metaverse silences critics. Tesla's robot AI takeover has begun, and the UK's pledge to becoming a crypto hub takes another step backwards. The Metaverse is real. So, we finally got a first glimpse of Mark Zuckerberg's Metaverse. Obviously, we've seen the cartoon kind of Metaverse clips that he's been showing people for about the last year, and he's given the latest update in Lex Fridman's latest podcast. And wow, honestly, wow, this is a true Metaverse where you can't even distinguish, reality and the digital world. So there's a video here. I'll just play the first few seconds. There won't be any sound. So this is actually a render of Lex Fridman in real time. So most of it is just his face that move. I think the kind of arm movements and leg movements are more just naturally animated. They're not actually copying his movements, but his face and his head movements are copying what he's doing. So this is, just a complete render of him in real time. And this is essentially what you'll look like in Mark Zuckerberg's Metaverse. And they conducted the whole hour-long interview in this Metaverse, but it was just their torso up that you could see. So this is obviously Lex with the headset on. This is all kind of meta technology with the surround sound headphones, and then obviously the Meta Quest 3, I think it is, headset. So that's the what he looks like in the Metaverse. Now, there's a lot of background work that's been done to create this. This isn't just a plonk the headset on and voila, you're there. There was a lot of face scans happening, a lot of kind of high tech technology that isn't really available to the public. So this isn't kind of like it's not a thing that's ready to go out in the next couple of months. But that's obviously what Zuckerberg's working towards, to make this readily available to the public at this quality. And I mean, if you watch the whole thing, it's quite incredible, really. And even after like 10 minutes or so, you kind of forget you're actually watching rendered people. They're not, you forget that they're not real. Yeah, you just look at them as if they were real. But yeah, because it is just so hyper realistic. It's impressive. And I have been a critic of Zuckerberg in the last year, because you look at how much money he's invested into his metaverse and all that. And then he comes up with all these like kind of cartoon kind of like things. You think, what's going on? Like this isn't going to get anyone interested. But I guess it doesn't matter how much money you throw at something, you still need time to make it work. And wow, that's impressive. It is very impressive. So that's obviously what we've seen so far up until now, and that's obviously what it looks like now. So it's a hell of an upgrade. I think this is more kind of like what's available at the moment for the public, but this is obviously what he's aiming for in the next, I think he mentions in the next 2 or 3 years. So, it's a hell of a goal. I think the idea is he wants the scans that scan your face in order to render them into the metaverse can be done. Well, will hopefully be able to be done on your phone. The technology behind it uses the codec avatars. First revealed in 2019, codec avatars is one of Meta's longest running research projects. So that's, I think, a lot of where his investments are going, which aims to create fully photorealistic real-time avatars that work by way of headsets with face tracking sensors. It just says here, users may need to wait a few years before donning their own realistic avatars. Zuckerberg then explained expensive machine learning software and full head scans by special equipment featuring more than 100 different cameras. And it says this would be at the very least 3 years away from being available to everyday consumers. And then Zuckerberg noted that the company wanted to reduce the barriers as much as possible, explaining in the future these scans may be achievable with a regular smartphone. Yeah, it's all getting a bit crazy now. It's getting it's getting very real. It's getting very, very real, the whole kind of metaverse concept and it becoming a reality. So I mean, I say this every video, but in the next 2-3 years, things are going to start getting very, very crazy. But along with the amazing technology, there's obviously the negative side where, they're going to be harvesting a lot of data, a lot of information from you as a person, what you look like, every detail about you is going to be exposed to these big corporations, and there's no doubt they're going to use that data to make more money. So, but I'm still excited because just following how this technology progresses is just fun in its own, let alone using it. So yeah, it's amazing stuff, really. And another massive tech advancement, this time from Tesla. So again, if you've not seen the video, Tesla have shown their new Optimus robots AI progress. So I'll read it here. So Tesla showed the development progress of its humanoid robot Optimus on Sunday. Interestingly, the Tesla bot can now perform yoga poses and can even say namaste with its hand gestures. So we remember that at AI Day 2022, Tesla engineers had to carry the Optimus bot to the stage as it could not walk on its own. Tesla Optimus robot, with its AI learning with the help of its robust Tesla Vision neural net, is now capable of identifying physical objects more precisely. So I'll show you the video first because that's obviously quite interesting. So this is obviously, it can now stand on its own, and the idea is that it has a camera, and instead of being programmed to know where its arms and legs are, it can actually use the camera to see where its arms and legs are, and then learn where its limbs are, and then see what the target, i.e., this kind of experiment where it needs to pick things up. It can then move its arm accordingly to where it sees its arm is, instead of just being programmed to do it. So as you can see here, this guy's moving the stuff around. So it means it doesn't need to be programmed. It just learns where it needs to, put its hand to pick things up and obviously place things. So yeah, look, I mean, that there, it didn't put it on the thing upright, and then it adjusted it. So it's, again, this is really, really, really kind of like creepy, but amazing at the same time. So obviously now, from last year it couldn't walk, and now it's doing yoga poses. So that's impressive. To be fair, it doesn't actually show it walking. It is it's still very static. Okay, it's doing yoga poses, so its balance is obviously quite good. But is it balancing itself, or is it just programmed to do that movement precisely to a point where it's not going to fall over? But obviously the objects, moving them into the box, that's impressive, I think. And then as people noticed that there was like a turn off button on the back of the robot's neck as well. And I've been reading this AI book called Scary Smart, and it mentions a kind of off button for like AI robots and that. And the whole point of AI is that you give it a task and it completes that task in the most efficient way possible. And the thing with an off button is that the AI sees that as a barrier stopping it to complete a task. It learns that once it learns there's an off button, and it knows that off button has a potential to stop it from completing the task it's given. It's then going to have a plan. Instead of going to where it needs to go to say you ask it to make a cup of tea, it's going to turn the kettle on, get the tea, blah blah blah. Once it learns there's an off button, then in that kind of plan that it creates for itself, it's going to first think, right, I need to find a way to stop that off button being pressed, otherwise it's going to prevent me from completing my task. And then it becomes like a question of, okay, what lengths is it going to go to prevent that off button from being pressed? Or in other words, what is it going to do to the person who is in control of the off button? It's one of those things where, like, okay, the off button sounds like a good idea, and it is obviously necessary, but the AI knows one thing, and that is to complete the tasks given. And if something is in its way, like an off button, it's going to do whatever necessary to make sure that thing isn't being pressed. And if there's a human in the way of that off button, then what is it going to do to that human? There's huge questions that get asked when you introduce an off button, because it presents a huge barrier for the AI, and it is obviously necessary, but if there's a human in the way of that off button, then what is it going to do to that human? There's huge questions that get asked when you introduce an off button, because it presents a huge barrier for the AI, and it is obviously necessary, but if there's a human in the way of that off button, then what is it going to do to that human? There's huge questions that get asked when you introduce an off button, because it presents a huge barrier for the AI, when, for it to complete its tasks. And it's interesting concept, really. But yeah, I mean, again, it's the way the rate at which technology is progressing, especially in AI and metaverse, stuff is. And the thing is, it's just going to get faster, because as AI improves, then it allows us to improve all other aspects of life and technology. And as that improves, then we can improve AI quicker. It just snowballs. So where it's going to be in the next 5-10 years is anyone's guess. It's really going to start getting crazy. And I think people are really underestimating how crazy it's going to get. A lot of rules and regulations are going to be needed to put in place for these things. But the problem is, the people that create these rules and regulations are so far behind. They're still regulating the internet, at this point. So, at what time are they going to start regulating this stuff? Probably when it's too late. It's really crazy stuff. But again, like I said, very interesting to to be a part of this time in life, and experience what's being created before our in front of our eyes. It's really amazing, but a little kind of scary as well. And the last topic of the day, so Chase Bank tells UK crypto users to take their business elsewhere. So according to a customer email, Chase Bank is set to stop crypto-related debit card payments and bank transfers. So Chase will become the latest in a long line of UK banks to impose such measures as financial institutions in the country seek an effective way to tackle the rising rates of crypto-related fraud. The thing with Chase is that they're very much involved in Web3. They were one of the first banks to go like, oh yeah, we'll set up a bank in the metaverse and things like that. So their whole stance is meant to be pro crypto, but then obviously things like this come out where they're preventing people from actually investing in it. So from my point of view, I think this is not their decision. This is more of a regulatory decision within the UK. I'm a resident of the UK, so I feel like it's very much down to the country's regulatory position that's made them make this decision, which for me is weird, because we have Rishi Sunak as our Prime Minister coming out going, yeah, we want to make the UK one of the main crypto hubs of the world. But then we see regulatory bodies preventing people from actually investing in crypto. So it goes completely against what they're saying. But to be honest, it doesn't surprise me, because he's also pro CBDC as well. And I think he's trying to convince people that they're the same thing, that CBDCs are crypto. And it's just like, no, it's literally the complete opposite. CBDCs are like crypto's evil twin. They are not good news. But obviously for someone like him, or in that kind of position, they love control, and that's exactly what CBDs give them. But again, this is just another bank telling people what they can and can't do with their money. So it's just like, this is literally an advert to buy crypto. It's saying, oh, another bank saying you can't buy crypto, but it's literally, that's exactly the reason why holding Bitcoin as an asset is so important, because it gives you free. It's an asset that you can do what you want with. It's not tied to a centralized entity like a bank telling you what you can and can't do with it, like they do with fiat money. So it's just another reason to move over to Bitcoin and maybe a few other digital assets. It's just nuts. And the thing is, they say, oh yeah, it's to tackle fraud. It's just like, well, more fraud happens with fiat money than it does in crypto. It's the only reason it looks like there's more fraud in crypto is because it gets found out more easily, because it's more transparent, because we can see the transactions on the blockchain. And because of that, I think they use that as an excuse to do what to prevent people from buying crypto. But really, I think they're just scared, because they know it's a competitor. Bitcoin is a competitor to banks, and they know it's the superior asset to what they offer. It's a deflationary asset, whereas what they offer is an inflationary asset, and they know it's superior. So the only tactic they know is to go back to their old centralized selves and control what you do and don't do with your money. So yeah, that's the kind of the route they're going. And this is not just Chase Bank. You know, there's other banks in the UK, so Nationwide, HSBC, Santander, Barclays, NatWest, all block card payments to Binance following regulatory uncertainty towards the exchange. But again, it's just, you know, control over your own money. They're controlling what you do with your own money. It's incredible. And when you're in crypto, the whole point of being in crypto is because you want self-custody. You want over your assets so you can do as you please with it. And with that becomes a self-responsibility. So if you end up being scammed, you only yourself to blame. So I mean, there's always going to be a need for, you know, centralized entities, because there's always going to be people that either don't want the responsibility of holding their own assets or haven't got the skill set to be responsible holding their own assets, because they still want to be able to point the finger when something goes wrong. Yeah, but it just annoys me because they say, oh yeah, we're going to make UK the world crypto hub. It's just like, well, you're very behind that already, because look at Dubai, they're leaps and bounds ahead of us, and then they do things like this where it just goes completely against what they've just said. And yeah, buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. Anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to give it a like. And if you want to see more, subscribe maybe. And I will see you in the next one.